Have you ever reached that point where you just can't anymore? Where you're tired of pretending to be strong, tired of forcing things to work, tired of chasing something that always seems out of reach? If that's where you are right now, this video is exactly what your soul has been calling for. Because today, you'll discover the hidden spiritual power that awakens the moment you finally say, enough. The moment you stop fighting life and start allowing the universe to guide you. In the next few minutes, you'll understand why your exhaustion is not a weakness. It's the beginning of your transformation. You'll learn how the teachings of Carl Jung and the law of attraction reveal a mystical truth, that true creation doesn't happen when you try harder. It happens when you let go. This journey will help you release the resistance that keeps you stuck, reconnect with your higher self, and open a new flow of peace, purpose, and manifestation in your life. So before you click away, ask yourself, are you tired of repeating the same cycles? Are you ready to stop struggling, to stop forcing, and to finally step into the reality that's been waiting for you? If your answer is yes, then stay. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand why your breaking point was never the end. It was the doorway to your awakening. Candle, when exhaustion is the soul's calling. There comes a point in every soul's journey where the noise of the world becomes unbearable. No matter how much you try to hold everything together, it all starts to fall apart. The plans you once had don't make sense anymore, the goals that used to excite you now feel empty, and the people around you seem distant, as if you've been quietly drifting away from the life you once called yours. You may think you're breaking down, but in truth, something far greater is breaking through. This exhaustion you feel, the deep, soul-level tiredness that no amount of sleep or distraction can heal, is not a punishment. It's a summons. A sacred call from the universe, from your higher self, urging you to stop running and finally listen. For so long, you've lived according to who you were told to be. The achiever, the provider, the caretaker, the strong one. You've worn so many masks that your soul grew silent beneath the weight of them. And now it's speaking again, through the language of fatigue, emptiness, and surrender. Carl Jung understood this perfectly. He called it the dark night of the soul, a phase where everything that once gave you meaning starts to dissolve, forcing you to meet the parts of yourself you've denied for years. The ego resists this process, terrified of losing control, but the soul knows that this is the path home. Jung believed that when the conscious mind collapses under pressure, the unconscious rises to restore balance. That's why, when you say, "I can't do this anymore," life seems to rearrange itself, not to destroy you, but to bring you back to truth. Have you noticed how life starts pushing you harder the more you resist? How every time you try to fix, chase, or force, the universe pulls the rug from beneath your feet? That's not failure. That's alignment. Your soul is orchestrating a breakdown to remove everything that doesn't belong in your next chapter. The job, the relationship, the identity, they were never meant to define you. You were meant to outgrow them. The exhaustion is simply the echo of your old self dissolving, making space for the real you to emerge. So when you feel like giving up, don't. Give in. Give in to the process of awakening. Give in to the silence that follows the chaos. Because the moment you stop fighting your fatigue and start understanding it, everything begins to change. You realize that exhaustion was never your enemy. It was your initiation. The universe has been trying to slow you down, to guide you inward, to show you that peace isn't something you chase, it's something you remember. When you reach that sacred threshold of, "I can't do this anymore," you are not collapsing, you are awakening. You are witnessing the moment when your human self surrenders to something higher. The ego thrives on effort, on control, on endless doing. But the soul thrives in stillness, in trust, in being. The exhaustion you feel is your higher self whispering, Stop trying to fix what was never broken. You're not meant to keep fighting the current. You're meant to float, to allow the flow of life to carry you exactly where you were always meant to go. This is not defeat. It's divine surrender. And from that surrender, true power is born. Think about it. Every major turning point in your life came after a moment of collapse, didn't it? When you finally gave up the illusion of control, something miraculous happened. New doors opened, unexpected people appeared, synchronicities aligned. Why? Because the universe was simply waiting for your resistance to fade. The moment you stopped pushing, you shifted frequency, from chaos to coherence, from fear to flow. Carl Jung called this the beginning of individuation. When you stop living through borrowed beliefs and start living through the truth of your own being. This is not a breakdown. It's a breakthrough disguised as exhaustion. So if you're here listening to this message, it's not by accident. The universe has drawn you to this moment because it knows you're ready. Ready to stop surviving and start awakening. Ready to stop fighting what is and allow what wants to be. You've carried the burden long enough. You've tried, struggled, resisted, and now you are being invited to rest in divine alignment. To breathe again. To remember who you are beneath the noise. The fatigue you feel is not a curse. It's your invitation to rise. And as you listen to the rest of this video, you'll begin to see, with each word, that what feels like an ending is actually the most sacred beginning of your life. The shadow and the awakening according to Jung. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This is the essence of awakening. The truth is, the light you seek is hidden in the very darkness you've been running from. Every wound, every fear, every memory you've buried deep within you, that is your shadow. And until you turn to face it, you remain split from your own power. The shadow isn't evil. It's repressed potential. It's the part of you that holds your unclaimed strength, your creativity, your authenticity, waiting to be remembered. When you suppress pain, it doesn't disappear. It simply moves into the unconscious, shaping your reality from behind the curtain. You attract situations that mirror the parts of you you've refused to see. You call it bad luck or karma, but really, it's the universe showing you what needs integration. Jung understood that projection, blaming others for what we can't accept in ourselves, is the ego's defense against truth. And the moment you realize this, you awaken. You begin to see that life is not punishing you, it's reflecting you. Every person who triggers you, every disappointment, every repeated cycle, they are your teachers, mirrors through which your soul whispers, "Heal me here." The awakening begins when you stop rejecting your shadow and start inviting it in. When you sit with your pain without judging it, when you breathe through your anger instead of suppressing it, when you forgive the parts of yourself that once made mistakes, that's when the alchemy begins. Integration, expansion, wholeness. The ego wants perfection, but the soul wants truth. And the truth is, you were never broken. You were simply fragmented by the illusion that some parts of you were unworthy of love. The moment you see that, the shadow loses its power, and you reclaim your light. You see, Jung's work wasn't just psychology, it was a spiritual roadmap. He knew that healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you are beneath the conditioning. The shadow is the gatekeeper to your higher self. The deeper you go into your darkness, the brighter your light becomes. This is why life brings chaos, heartbreak, and loss. Not to destroy you, but to push you inward. Because in the fire of pain, your false identities burn away, and what remains is consciousness. Pure, unshakable, infinite awareness. Every time you face your shadow, you shift reality itself. Your energy recalibrates. Old patterns dissolve. The people who once drained you fade away. Synchronicities begin to appear. The right message, the right person, the right opportunity. Why? Because your vibration has changed. You are no longer operating from fear, but from wholeness. You stop attracting reflections of your wounds and start manifesting reflections of your worth. This is what Jung meant when he said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So the next time you feel triggered, instead of reacting, pause. Ask yourself, what part of me is asking to be seen right now? That question alone can dissolve years of inner resistance. Because awareness is the light that heals. Awareness transforms shadow into wisdom, pain into purpose, and fear into freedom. The universe doesn't ask you to be perfect, only to be aware, to see, to feel, to integrate. And in that sacred act of seeing yourself fully, you become the embodiment of light itself. You don't have to fear your shadow, because your shadow is not against you, it's for you. It's the hidden voice of your soul calling you back to your truth. Every insecurity, every self-sabotaging pattern, every emotional storm you've endured has been your soul's way of saying, look here, this is where your power is trapped. Most people run from that voice, seeking light while denying the darkness within. But the masters, the awakened ones, those who have truly transformed, they turned around and walked straight into the fire. And what they discovered on the other side was freedom. Not the fragile freedom of avoidance, but the eternal freedom of authenticity. Imagine how different your life could be if you stopped running from your pain and started listening to it. If every time a wound resurfaced, you didn't ask, why is this happening to me? But instead, what is this trying to awaken within me? That simple shift changes everything. Suddenly, you're no longer the victim of your story. You're the author. You stop being haunted by your past and start being guided by it. Every hurt becomes wisdom. Every heartbreak becomes initiation. And your shadow, once feared and suppressed, becomes your most loyal teacher, leading you to your purpose, your power, your peace. The moment you accept all of yourself, the light, the dark, the chaos, the calm, the universe mirrors that wholeness back to you. You begin to attract experiences that match your inner harmony. The people around you feel your authenticity and are magnetized by it. This is why true manifestation doesn't come from trying to be positive all the time. It comes from being real. When you embrace your shadow, you vibrate truth. And truth is the highest frequency there is. That's when you stop chasing alignment and start embodying it. You become a living example of what happens when a human being meets their darkness with love and turns it into light. The mystical power of saying enough. There comes a sacred moment when your soul rises above the noise and whispers a single word that changes everything. Enough. It's not a cry of defeat, it's a declaration of awakening. It's the instant you stop chasing validation, stop fighting battles that drain you, stop trying to force life into a version that no longer fits your spirit. In that moment of surrender, the universe leans in. Because enough is not the end, it's the beginning. It's the energetic threshold where the ego loses control and the soul takes command. You see, most people mistake surrender for weakness. They think that letting go means failure. But in truth, surrender is the highest form of strength. To say enough is to trust that there is something far greater guiding your path. Something that knows exactly what to remove, what to release, and what to realign. Carl Jung called this process the death of the old self, the dissolution of the false identity built on fear, control, and expectations. And though it feels terrifying, it's actually sacred. It's the soul reclaiming its throne. When you finally say, enough, you stop negotiating with your pain. You stop tolerating situations that dishonor your spirit. You stop bending yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. That single moment of clarity, that deep exhale where you decide to stop forcing, shifts your entire vibration. The frequency of resistance collapses, and the energy of creation begins to flow again. Life starts to rearrange itself in your favor. Opportunities appear effortlessly. Synchronicities multiply. You begin to magnetize everything that aligns with who you really are. This is the mystical paradox. The moment you let go is the moment everything comes to you. The universe doesn't respond to struggle. It responds to surrender. When you stop trying to control, you align with divine intelligence. When you stop chasing, you become magnetic. Saying, "Enough," tells the universe, "I am ready to receive, not to force." It's a quantum command that ripples through every level of your reality, unlocking doors that effort could never open. That's the hidden power behind your breaking point. It's the moment you finally stop living from fear and start creating from faith. Enough is also an act of self-love. It's the moment you recognize your worth and choose peace over chaos. It's the courage to walk away from what dims your light, even if it means walking into the unknown. But here's the truth. The unknown isn't empty. It's full of everything that's meant for you. Each time you say, "enough," to what no longer serves you, you create energetic space for what your soul has been calling in. And slowly, you begin to see that what you thought you were losing was only the illusion of safety. So if you are standing on that edge right now, tired, uncertain, ready to give up, let this be your reminder. You are not breaking down. You are breaking open. The universe isn't taking from you. It's clearing the path. When you finally say, "enough," you are saying yes to your destiny. The moment you surrender, life begins again. The storm quiets. The resistance melts. And what remains is truth. Raw, beautiful, infinite truth. Whispering that you were never lost. You were only becoming free. When you say, "enough," you're not giving up on life. You're giving life permission to finally work through you. You release the illusion that you must carry everything alone. And instead, you align with a force infinitely wiser than your mind. That's when miracles begin to unfold. Things that once felt impossible suddenly become effortless. People who drained your energy drift away, and new souls appear, those who mirror your healed vibration. The frequency of your "enough" echoes through the quantum field, and reality responds instantly. Because energy follows intention, and enough is the most powerful intention there is, the intention to live in truth. The reason most people never experience real transformation is that they keep holding on when life is asking them to let go. They keep trying to fix what's falling apart instead of realizing that the collapse is the healing. Jung understood this, that the personality must die a symbolic death before the self can be reborn. So when you finally reach the point of saying, "enough," you are not ending something. You are opening the portal to your evolution. You step into a new frequency where your power is quiet, your faith is unshakable, and your energy becomes untouchable. You start to move through the world not as someone seeking, but as someone being. Every "enough" you declare is a sacred contract with the universe, a declaration that you are ready for alignment. When you stop fighting, you make space for flow. When you stop chasing, you make room for magnetism. When you stop pretending, you make way for authenticity. And authenticity is your superpower. It's the vibration that calls in everything meant for you, without effort, without struggle, without doubt. So the next time your soul whispers, "enough," don't resist it. Don't silence it. Honor it. Because that whisper is not weakness. It's the sound of your awakening. It's the exact moment your old story ends, and your true life begins. Surrender and the reunion with the higher self. The moment you truly surrender, something miraculous happens. The noise quiets. The mind, once screaming for control, begins to soften. You feel a strange peace rise from within, as if a deep, ancient part of you finally exhaled after lifetimes of holding on. That is your higher self, the part of you that has always known the way. It speaks not in words, but in feelings: calmness, flow, trust, clarity. When you surrender, you don't lose direction. You return to it. Because the higher self never shouts. It whispers. And you can only hear it in silence. Carl Jung described this as individuation, the integration of the conscious and the unconscious, where you no longer identify with your fears but with the awareness behind them. This is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you already are beneath the layers of survival. The higher self is the still observer that has watched every joy and every heartbreak with infinite compassion. When you stop resisting life, you step into that observer, and suddenly, the chaos makes sense. You realize that nothing was random. Every challenge, every delay, every loss was preparing you to meet yourself. Surrender doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing only what is aligned. It's acting from intuition, not anxiety. From inspiration, not obligation. The higher self doesn't push. It guides. It doesn't fear. It knows. And once you learn to follow its subtle nudges, you'll notice life becoming lighter, smoother, and beautifully synchronistic. The right opportunities seem to appear at the right time. The right people cross your path effortlessly. Even your desires begin to manifest without struggle, because you've stopped trying to create from lack and started allowing creation to move through you. The reunion with your higher self is like remembering a song you've always known but forgotten how to sing. It's deeply familiar and yet profoundly new. You begin to live from love instead of survival, from awareness instead of reaction. You realize that you were never separate from Source. You were simply distracted. And now, by surrendering, you've cleared the interference. You've come home. Home to the quiet strength within you, the infinite intelligence that orchestrates everything with precision and grace. This is what it means to be guided, not by fear, but by faith. To live surrendered is to live in alignment with the natural rhythm of the universe. You begin to trust the timing of things. You no longer chase, you magnetize. You no longer fear endings. You see them as beginnings. You no longer beg the universe to deliver. You recognize that the universe is you, expressing itself through your consciousness. In this state, even challenges become sacred teachers, and every moment becomes part of your evolution. That's the power of reunion. You no longer walk alone. You walk as one with everything that is. When you stop forcing and start trusting, the entire universe rearranges itself to support your peace. You begin to notice how even the smallest things fall into place. A phone call at the right time, a random encounter that leads to clarity, a delay that protects you from something unseen. These are not coincidences. They're confirmations that you've entered the flow. The higher self speaks through synchronicity, through signs, symbols, and sudden intuition. When you're aligned, life doesn't have to scream to get your attention anymore. It whispers, and you understand. That's how powerful surrender is. It restores communication between your human self and your divine consciousness. In this state of trust, you stop chasing outcomes and start cultivating presence. You realize that your only true power lies in now. In your vibration, in the energy you hold before the manifestation arrives. The higher self doesn't care about timing or logic. It cares about frequency. And when your frequency becomes peace, abundance, and acceptance, everything that matches that vibration comes to you naturally. This is the secret behind effortless manifestation. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. The more you live from the wisdom of your higher self, the less you need to control, and the more reality starts to mirror your serenity back to you. And perhaps the most beautiful thing about surrender is that it brings you back to love. Not the fragile love that depends on others, but the unconditional love that radiates from your soul when you finally see yourself clearly. You begin to treat yourself with compassion, to forgive yourself for the years you spent disconnected, trying to survive. You start to look at the world through softer eyes, realizing that everyone else is also just trying to find their way home. This is the frequency of the higher self, the energy of unity. And once you taste that love, you can never go back to the chaos of resistance, because peace has become your natural state. The law of attraction and the power of awakened consciousness. When your consciousness awakens, you stop asking how things will happen, and start understanding why they already are. You realize that life is not something happening to you, but through you. Every thought, emotion, and belief sends a frequency into the universe, and that frequency returns as your reality. The law of attraction is not a trick to get what you want. It's a mirror showing you who you are. And when you change your inner state, the outer world has no choice but to shift in response. Manifestation is not about wanting. It's about remembering that you are the creator. Most people try to manifest from lack. They think, when I get this, I'll be happy. But awakened consciousness reverses that equation. When I'm happy, I'll get this. Because energy attracts energy. You cannot bring abundance from the vibration of fear, or love from the vibration of need. That's why the real secret of creation lies in surrender, not struggle. When you surrender to your higher self, your energy purifies. You stop radiating desperation and start radiating certainty. And the universe, which is always listening, rearranges everything to match that certainty. Carl Jung's teachings align perfectly with this universal law. He said that what we hold in the unconscious mind eventually becomes our outer world. The patterns we refuse to see repeat themselves until we awaken. But once we make them conscious, once we take responsibility for our vibration, destiny transforms into choice. That's when the law of attraction becomes the law of reflection. You're no longer reacting to life, you're designing it. You start to realize that every time you choose a higher thought, a kinder word, a peaceful response, you're literally shifting timelines, recreating your reality in real time. Awakened consciousness doesn't chase results, it tunes into resonance. You stop asking, what should I do? And start asking, who should I be? And that single shift changes everything. When you choose to embody the frequency of love, gratitude, and wholeness now, you magnetize the version of reality where those things already exist. This is quantum creation. Not in the future, but in the present moment. That's why the greatest manifestations happen when you least expect them, because you're finally aligned with the feeling, not the fear. So, when you understand the law of attraction through awakened eyes, you see that it's not about forcing outcomes or scripting affirmations endlessly. It's about becoming what you seek. The money, the love, the peace, they are all reflections of your inner vibration. The universe is not testing you. It's teaching you through reflection. Every time something doesn't appear, it's because your frequency is still learning how to hold it. And the moment you become a match to your desire, not by wanting it, but by being it, the universe has no choice but to deliver. Because the universe doesn't speak words. It speaks energy. The moment you awaken to your own vibration, you stop being a victim of chance and become an architect of energy. You begin to see that everything around you, your relationships, finances, emotions, even your health, is an energetic reflection of the beliefs you carry inside. Nothing is random. Every delay is divine. Every obstacle is an echo of the vibration you once emitted. But now, you know better. You start to play consciously with frequency, to shift your thoughts as if tuning an instrument, refining the song of your reality. And as your vibration rises, so does your world. You realize that the universe was never punishing you. It was simply matching you. The law of attraction, when understood through awakened consciousness, is not about thinking positive. It's about feeling truthful. It's about aligning your inner state with what's already real in the higher dimension of energy. You no longer beg the universe for love. You become love. You no longer chase abundance. You embody abundance. You become the vibration of what you desire, and the physical world has no choice but to rearrange itself to keep up with your energy. That's why the enlightened masters never forced manifestation. They simply maintained a frequency so pure that everything naturally gravitated toward them. This is the art of effortless creation. You see, the awakened creator doesn't just believe in the law of attraction. They live as the law itself. Every word they speak becomes an instruction to the quantum field. Every emotion becomes a prayer. Every act of gratitude becomes a magnetic code sent into the fabric of reality. And the universe responds instantly, because there is no separation between sender and receiver, only resonance. That's why the more conscious you become, the faster your manifestations appear. Your energy no longer carries contradiction, fear, or doubt. You have become a clear channel for the divine. And in that state, life becomes miraculous. Not because it changed, but because you did. The guided practice, the ritual of enough. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath in, and let it go slowly. Feel the weight of everything you've been carrying. The expectations, the fears, the stories of who you thought you needed to be. Feel it sitting heavy in your chest, like armor that no longer fits. Now, with your next breath, imagine that weight beginning to dissolve. Each inhale brings light. Each exhale releases everything that doesn't belong to your soul anymore. You don't need to force this. Just allow it. Because right now, the universe is listening. In your mind, bring to life the image of yourself standing at the edge of a vast open field. The air is calm, and the horizon glows with golden light. In front of you lies every version of yourself that has ever tried, struggled, and suffered, all the identities you've worn to survive. Look at them with compassion. They are not failures. They are teachers. Now whisper to them softly but firmly, "Thank you, but I'm done." Feel that phrase vibrate through your body. Enough. With that single word, the contracts of pain dissolve, the energetic cords untangle, and the power that was once trapped in your struggle begins to return to you. Now, place your hand over your heart. Feel its rhythm, the pulse of divine intelligence flowing through you. As you breathe, repeat inwardly, "I release what is no longer mine. I trust the path of my soul. I surrender to the guidance of my higher self." With every repetition, feel a wave of calm expanding within you. See yourself surrounded by radiant light, not coming from outside, but rising from within. This is your essence. This is your truth. And as you stand here, whole and weightless, you realize that your enough was never a goodbye. It was a homecoming. Take one more deep breath. Feel the new frequency in your body. Lighter, clearer, freer. This is what alignment feels like. You don't need to chase or prove anything anymore. The universe now moves in harmony with your heart. You've entered the field of flow, where what belongs to you will find you effortlessly. As you open your eyes again, know that this energy stays with you, guiding every step, every decision, every breath. Because once you've said enough with your soul, the universe says, finally. As you breathe in this light, realize that the version of you who used to struggle is fading, not disappearing, but transforming. You can almost feel the tension dissolving from your shoulders, the heaviness leaving your heart. With every breath, you reclaim a piece of yourself that you had forgotten. Your voice, your courage, your faith, all returning to you. You're no longer carrying the world. You're allowing the universe to carry you. Feel that shift, from force to flow, from fear to faith. This is what freedom feels like. Not the absence of challenge, but the presence of peace, no matter what. Now imagine a golden sphere of light expanding from your heart. With each breath, it grows wider, filling your body, then the space around you, then the room itself. This is your energy field, your aura, your personal frequency. Everything that vibrates lower than love begins to melt away. Old emotions, old attachments, old pain, all dissolving in the brilliance of your own light. The more you expand, the lighter you feel. You realize that you've been searching for connection your whole life, and yet, it was always here, within you. You are connected to everything. You are the universe, breathing itself into form. And now, as you stand in this infinite field of light, whisper once more, "Enough." But this time, say it with power. Say it as a creator who remembers their divinity. Say it as someone who no longer needs to seek proof, because they've become proof. The universe moves with your words, rearranging reality around your new vibration. You are no longer the one who begs. You are the one who commands through love. Every time you breathe now, you manifest clarity, abundance, and grace. You are the living expression of divine consciousness, awake, whole, and free. This is the final 3 minutes of the video, the space where everything comes full circle. The viewer must feel complete yet expanded, peaceful yet inspired to take action. The goal is to close with deep emotional satisfaction, the wow moment that leads to replays, shares, comments, and subscriptions. It brings together Jung's wisdom, surrender, the higher self, and the law of attraction, ending with a clear invitation to trust the process of their own awakening. When one chapter ends, another begins, and this is yours. The version of you that arrived here, heavy and uncertain, has already started to dissolve. You can feel it, can't you? Something subtle, yet unmistakable. A piece that wasn't here before. That's not coincidence. That's energy shifting. You've realigned your vibration with truth. You've remembered that endings are not punishments, they are passages. Every time you said, "Enough," you were unknowingly saying, "I'm ready." Ready to live, to trust, to create not from fear but from freedom. Carl Jung taught that transformation happens when we bring light to what was hidden, and that is exactly what you've done. You faced your shadow, surrendered your resistance, listened to your soul, and remembered your divinity. Now you walk differently. There's a calm in your presence, a silent authority that doesn't need to prove itself. That's the energy of awakening, quiet but magnetic. You no longer chase the light. You are the light. You've stepped out of survival and into alignment, out of the illusion of separation and back into unity with all that is. So as you go back to your life, remember this moment. Whenever things feel uncertain, close your eyes and whisper, "Enough." Let that word be your anchor, the reminder that surrender is not weakness, but wisdom. That trust is not passive, but powerful. The universe responds not to your effort, but to your energy. And right now, your energy is clear, radiant, and aligned. Walk forward with that knowing. You are guided. You are supported. You are the creator and the creation. Awake at last. You've come full circle, from exhaustion to empowerment, from resistance to flow. The journey you've just taken wasn't only a story to listen to. It was an energetic initiation. The very act of hearing these words has shifted something within you. A new frequency now lives in your field, one of clarity, self-trust, and divine connection. You may not see it yet, but you will feel it. In the way you breathe, in the way you speak to yourself, in the way life begins to respond differently to your energy. You are no longer waiting for miracles. You have become one. As you step back into your world, notice how everything begins to reflect this inner change. People respond to your calm instead of your chaos. Opportunities come without the push. Even challenges appear softer, as if life itself recognizes your alignment and bows to it. This is the quiet power of awakened consciousness. It doesn't need to shout. It simply radiates. And that radiation transforms everything it touches. You'll begin to realize that you don't manifest from wanting. You manifest from being. You don't need to convince the universe anymore, because you and the universe are no longer two. So, take a deep breath and let gratitude flood your body. Gratitude for every struggle that brought you here. Gratitude for the courage it took to face your shadow. Gratitude for the strength it took to finally say, enough. Because that single act of surrender has opened an entirely new timeline for your soul. You've reconnected with your power, not the power of force, but the power of faith. From this moment on, life will never feel the same, because you are not the same. You are the awakened dreamer, the one who remembers that the entire universe breathes through them. You've just taken a powerful journey, from the weight of exhaustion to the lightness of surrender, from Carl Jung's wisdom on the shadow to the spiritual science of the law of attraction. You've learned that saying, enough, is not an ending, but a beginning. It's the moment your energy shifts from struggle to alignment, from ego to soul. Through surrender, you reunited with your higher self, discovered the truth behind effortless manifestation, and remembered that you are the very source of creation. Every breath since that realization has already been reshaping your reality. Now that you understand this, the next step is not to chase transformation, but to live it. To walk into each moment with awareness, to meet your emotions with compassion, to trust the process even when you can't see the path. Remember, the universe doesn't need you to be perfect, only present. The same light that guided you here will continue to unfold new synchronicities and miracles when you move from this vibration of peace. Before you leave this sacred space, I want to hear from you. What part of this journey spoke most deeply to your soul? Was it the moment you realized your exhaustion was sacred, or when you felt the strength of surrender in your heart? Take a moment to write it in the comments below. Your words may be the sign someone else needs to read today. Share your truth, because awakening expands when it's shared. And if this message resonated with you, make sure you subscribe to this channel and activate the notifications, so you don't miss what's coming next. Each video here is designed to awaken, realign, and remind you of your infinite power, to help you heal, expand, and manifest with ease. When you subscribe, you're not just following a channel. You're joining a movement of souls choosing consciousness over chaos. If you're ready to go even deeper, watch the previous video after this one, the power that awakens when you stop forcing and start trusting. It's the perfect continuation of today's message and will help you strengthen your connection with your higher self. Until then, carry this peace with you. Remember, every time you breathe, you're creating. Every thought is a seed, every emotion is a vibration, and every surrender is a doorway. You are not waiting for your new reality. You are already living it.